know what the fuck I was gonna do. I'm a silly girl for, like, walking around with a fucking pocket knife thinking I would know what to do. But anyway. Okay, so episode 15 is the story time. The whole episode is a story time. I'm almost hoping that it will fill up like 2 weeks worth of content, and maybe I can break it up into 2 episodes because it feels like so much has happened since 1 week ago, which our story time starts at 1 week ago, on Wednesday when I went home sick. And to be honest, initially I was not physically ill, but my mood at the time, it felt unmanageable to be at work. Like, I didn't feel like I could assist people without verbally assaulting them. Like, it wasn't a good day. So I was like, I'm just going to go home. I know there's coverage. I'm going to go home. So I go home and message our manager and make sure that there's definitely coverage in the afternoon and all is well. And by the time I get home for an hour or so, I actually did start to experience like a very upset stomach and couldn't keep anything down, and I ended up being sick and having zero appetite for like 24 hours, which around this time I realized that I'd forgotten to take my medication over a few busy days, specifically Wellbutrin/bupropion, if you've heard of it or if you're on it. And I believe I'm on the highest dose, and I believe I've been on it for like 4 years. So when your girl stops it for a few days because she forgot, I get very, very sick. And so as soon as I realize this, I take one immediately, like that afternoon that I went home with a bad mood, but ended up being actually sick. And then this is the fun part. I started to have effects of not taking the medication, and I've only experienced this through what I could only describe as like a mental breakdown, maybe like a couple of years ago, which I genuinely felt as though I was not a part of reality. So on Wednesday night, I started to experience what I can only describe as like that kind of thing, or panic attack or psychosis or something. And I was questioning the entire reality around me and having conversations like, am I actually hearing this? Am I actually experiencing this? Am I hallucinating, like fully? Which you can also imagine is pretty anxiety-inducing, just a thought process to have. And then I, like, for example, which this probably wasn't very helpful at the time, but I was on FaceTime with my biological dad, who, to say the least, I have a very non-traditional kind of relationship with. And he was saying, "What kind of dog do you have?" And I was like, "A Doberman." And he said, what kind of dog do you have? And then I was like, "A Doberman." And he'd be like, "No, what kind?" And I just was sitting there like, am I fucking tripping out? Am I imagining this? Or is he just fucking all out of sorts? So I started to feel really out of sorts and genuinely wondered if somebody had like drugged me. And I literally thought of places that I had brought my water bottle that day throughout the entire day, like level of paranoia that I was feeling. And then I was so cold and I had shivers, and I kept thinking like on repeat, I'm scared. And my dad would say, "Why are you scared?" And I was like, I don't know, I'm just afraid to do anything ever at all. Paralyzed by anxiety, 100% completely not having a good time, straight up not having a good time right now. And I experienced what I call negative thought loops, which you can experience also in a bad drug trip kind of vibe. And mine at the time was looking at my face on FaceTime and being like, do I put on makeup? And then I was like, no, that's too much. Like, that's too much effort. That's too much walk all the way up the boat. And that's weird. And my dad doesn't care what I look like, so it's only me that cares what I look like. And then I'd see my face and feel like I looked like fucking cracked out or something. And then I'd be like, maybe I should put on makeup. And then thinking, no, that's too much effort. And then said negative thought loop. So that was happening a lot. And then I ended up putting on makeup. And then he said, pick up your guitar, like play a song on piano. And I felt pretty much paralyzed completely by anxiety at this point, and walked up to my piano bench and curled up in a little ball on it, trying to hold the anxious ball in my chest together, because if I didn't, it felt like my chest would explode. And then I was like, maybe I can play a song on piano. And then I sat there and I was like, I'm still so cold and I have shivers, so I go and grab a blanket. And then I'm like, I feel sick. And then at some point he said a joint may help, which I was unsure, but gave it a go anyway, because it felt like I couldn't be feeling all that much worse, and it definitely did not help at all. It also felt like everything that I was experiencing felt weirdly ironic, and I don't know how to explain that. Kind of hoping maybe somebody else can do it for me, or make your own definition, because that's all I can explain it. Everything just felt very ironic to me, like weirdly ironic to me. Anyway, and then my dad, I don't know if he was purposely fucking with me or if he was just being stoned and erratic, but he was saying that my face looked different at every angle, and said, do you have a filter on right now? Like, you've got to have a filter on. And this is a FaceTime, by the way. Like, there's nothing that's filtered. And so him saying that I looked like a different human in every frame was really fucking with me. And there were points where I was like, I might just burst into tears at random for no reason. And I even warned him that may happen. He also said at one point, did your dog change colors? Like, has she gotten darker? And in my head, I went, are you saying that I switched out my dog, or did my dog switch out and I never knew? That level anxiety, and that level of anxiety, and that level of paranoia. And it genuinely felt like what I think psychosis must feel like. This is also the only time where when I'm feeling this way, music feels like threatening or like unsettling to me. Like, it doesn't help ground me at all during this feeling. Like, that's the only time music does not help me. I started to wonder if the medication that I'm on, Wellbutrin, medicates bipolar as well, because I was like, if I'm having like a fucking psychosis and I stop taking my Wellbutrin, what if it's monitoring bipolar and maybe I actually have bipolar? Do you see where my thought process was going? I took you on the journey. Anyway, so that was me when I didn't take it. To kind of wrap up that day, the rest of the evening, I just felt very unsettled, no appetite, forced myself to eat popcorn later on that night, and then the next day I had a bit of anxiety, but definitely felt much better than the night before. So that day I had called into work and drove myself to a nearby secluded beach so I could relax and decompress. And I didn't bring my dog this time because I was like, this is just me time. I'm just gonna have some like mental health recovery, body recovery, outside, nature, write some notes on my notebook, maybe write a podcast while I'm down here if I feel like it. If I don't, such is life. And so I'm laying down at the beach, and then I get a couple of text messages from my credit card company saying, hey, your card was just declined for $100.26 at this gas station. And I'm like, I don't have my credit card right now. I didn't bring my credit card or my wallet or my purse or anything down from the parking lot, which means somebody that has my credit card, my only credit card that was in my car, got to my credit card, broke the window to get to the credit card, and is now using my credit card. So I very quickly pack up and throw all my shit in a bag, wrap my towel around me, start running up this fucking hill, knowing that I'm going to show up to a car that sure enough has a broken passenger side window and my purse is gone. Which, fucking, like, I should have brought it. But at the same time, like, you need a car to get to where I'm going. And a lot of people go there to go hiking, and it's like mostly kind of, like, I feel like the middle class, like above middle class genre of people who just go there to go hiking with their dog or their family, and are usually driving up there in like Audis and stuff like that. So I didn't really think of it when I went up there. That might be stereotyping, I don't care. Yeah, so I didn't really think of it. And my black burst, I was like, well, it kind of matches the black interior of the car. And I just didn't think anything of it, okay? It's been a rough week. I put it on the floor. That probably wasn't good enough. Well, it wasn't good enough. Yeah, anyway. Panicked. I got into my car and started driving around and trying to find where they were making purchases, because they had already almost maxed out my credit card, so I was just waiting for them to try the last $50 or $30 on either card at whatever facility or place or establishment, so that I could drive there super quickly, hopefully identify them in some way, shape, or form, and I don't know what the fuck I was gonna do. I'm a silly girl for, like, walking around with a fucking pocket knife thinking I would know what to do. But anyway. That was part 1, and you will hear part 2 probably, when will I feel like recording that? Let's try to record it by, have something to listen to Saturday morning, if I'm doing this in a part 1 and 2. If that's the case, if I just release this Wednesday night, you'll get part 2 on Saturday, because this is a long fucking story, and a little bit of a trauma-inducing story, so yeah, I'm just gonna go to bed and eat my snacks and cuddle my dog and have my little version of self-care. So the self-care before I go back to work, and yeah, I'll tell y'all the rest on Saturday. Please stay tuned. It's pretty fucking interesting story. If you're not me,